Yeah, what's the crack? I never know how to say hello. I need to get a signature call out like, hey, on one of the. I need to get something. Well, you're all very welcome to episode 86 of Buckshot. Jesus, lads, we're up to 86. It's for Friday the 23rd of November 2018. I'm just in the door from recording with this week's guest. But just to give you a heads up, that's the dog in the background. Relax, will you? I know I'm only just in the fucking door. Relax. You have grub. The door's open. Head on out, dog. Fucking hell. Jesus Christ, like, what can you do? Give it a rest. All right, give it a rest, dog. Fucking hell. Christ and Christ above. The one and only gig that's booked in, it's this side of Christmas really, is Dolan's on the 19th of December. Dolan's in Limerick. I'll be doing the old headline slot there, so if you're in Limerick, pop along. Other than that, I'm going to be in panto rehearsals and all the rest of it. I'll be telling you how little coordination I have and how badly I can sing. Thank you very much to the Patreon people. I will be putting up again another... Well, it'll be up by now. Another episode of the Tom and Jerry Show, which is exclusive to Patreons. If you haven't heard of Patreon or you haven't seen it, give it an old gander. It's essentially it's so we don't have to go looking for whorish fucking I suppose advertising, which I totally will do if the right ones come along. I.e., they tell me to stop cursing. That's not happening. I'm going to completely stay cursing. A couple of people have ordered stuff from the Tea Republic shop this week. Looks like Christmas is coming. I've ordered, for myself, I've ordered the orange t-shirt, the phone cover, and what the fuck? Oh, 2 cups. Why not? Why the fuck not? If that's how you prefer to actually contribute to the podcast, then go for it. Choose your thing and go for it. Right, that's enough of that. Moving swiftly along to today's guest. He's a very good friend of mine. He's a very, very good stand-up comedian. And like that, we had a great old fucking chat. And we had a bit of a session the other evening, drinking pints and all the rest of it. He's a great guy. We obviously talked about comedy and having the crack and just what's going on with him. And also the fact that because it's November and his involvement and his just how he's intrinsically tied to Movember. Not that he grew a moustache or anything, but he is a cancer survivor. He had testicular cancer, and Keith is very good. Like, he's such an easygoing fella that he kind of gives you the heads up, like, look this is how I went about handling it. And it's kind of, I tell you one thing, it was a lesson for me, and that's not horseshitty things like the amount of times where you think, I should say that this is a lesson for me, and forget it totally. Genuinely, you won't read shit on a pamphlet, but trust me, when you listen to how Keith chats about it, and how he fucking got his head around it and all the rest of it, I'm no psychologist. I probably didn't ask the right questions, but it is a comedy podcast from a comedian, not a fucking smart person. So, with further ado, you're going to enjoy it. Please give it up for the fantastic Keith Fox. There we are, smashing stuff, Keith.
How are you doing?
Keith Fox. Thanks a million. It's a good
on?
name, isn't it? Keith Fox.
Isn't it? Yeah, but it's 2 syllables. It's terrible for like a big introduction to a stage. Welcome to the stage, Keith Fox. You know, you can't really... You want a bit more power in it.
Well, because Fox isn't long enough.
It's just very short. People are like, what was the name again? Keith Fox. Keith Fox. It doesn't
sound but I would always kind of, when I introduce anybody on stage, I tend to elongate their surnames. Like,
yeah, it just feels a little bit blunt. I'm not dissing my father's heritage and name. I shouldn't be doing that.
I like names like that. Like, I remember going to the Gael talk to 2 young fellas and their surnames were Wolf.
Yeah, that's better.
Is that better?
Fox is all right, but there's a bit of there's a slyness to that. Wolf is more power in that.
And is the Irish Keith Shannock?
No, the worst part about my name in Irish, it's Mochan Shannock, which is son of the fox. And then Keith, which took me years to figure out, it's actually Ketchuk.
Ketchuk?
Yeah, so in school it was Heinz, was my nickname. In school, Heinz Ketchuk. It was terrible.
To be fair,
yeah.
It's the first thing
it's
to
a
my
good
fucking head
yeah.
too, yeah.
Some people say Katuk, but there's no crack in that. Ketchuk. So the shortest name, 2 syllables in English, is Ketchuk Mochan Shannock in Irish. It's a sentence in Irish.
Jesus Christ.
I know, it's
That's
brutal,
quality.
Yeah, it was a tough childhood.
When did we meet for the first time? Because we had a good old session the other night.
Yeah, we had a good session the other night.
You just slip away and do a gig.
I'd slip away and do a gig, which was impacted by the pints. We first gigged, I think we were in the Halfpenny a few years back. We did a gig. I did a tough enough gig. I don't know what gig it was, but I remember we did a gig. We had an old chat in the back.
Was I hosting a battle? And it wasn't the one where the crowd of improv fuckers came in, was it?
Oh, it was before that. I remember that one. That was hell. Oh my word!
We actually had to capture it in an Instagram post.
There,
like we had to do it, like because
that was hell. The improv, fair play to them, but I find it's just so hard to follow them. I find it so hard because there's such energy in the room, and then you go up going, "How are you?"
That on top of the fact that they pretty much bring the audience too, like, so they have no interest in regular stand-up. All they have an interest in is give me a name,
give me a job, fit penis into this. Forgive the pun. That was tough. I think it was before that. I think we did a gig. It was a tough gig, and I remember I was doing stuff about feminism at the time. You know, as a middle-class white male, I feel it's my duty to do that. I
remember your feminism stuff. I like that.
It was tongue-in-cheek feminism stuff. I think it came up on the right side of it, but it always made a room tougher. I needed to deliver it with a bit more devilment, I think, and that night might have been one where I didn't. And I think you and I ended up having a bit of a chat about that at the back. I think that's roughly where I remember.
But there's an element too, like, because, you know, like, the thick fuckers will nearly sour the room too, because there'll be 3 thick fuckers out of 30 or 40 people. And people tend to notice their faces around them because, you know, as soon as you start, like if I do it on purpose sometimes, I'll find a way to crowbar the word burqa into a thing just to find the gophers, because they'll go, oh, Jesus Christ, did he mention
exactly,
is he anti-Islamic? Like, and you're going, nah, just mentioned a piece of clothing.
Yeah, I just said the word. Yeah, that was the joke of the feminism one that I was doing, because I did do stuff about, this is about 2 or 3 years ago, I did stuff about how the burn your bras movement was far too appealing for the men of the time for them to come on board with it. Threatening to burn your underwear was fire ahead. Do you know, like, and it was obviously me being ignorant, but I just came across like an asshole. Do you know what I mean? Like, and so I came across an asshole, but then I noticed that whenever I brought it up, people were always like, there was a little bit of tension. So then before I did it, I introduced how it's tough to talk about stuff, how to know what to talk about. And then I'd say, you know, there's some things I shouldn't talk about, like, and I'd leave a point, then say the word feminism, and there'd always be someone that'd make a noise in the room. There'd always be someone, and I go, see? And that was it. Yeah, and then I go into the feminism
stuff. It's a great precursor. That's a great idea.
And it was fun, but I did it I was doing it in Galway, and it was a weird crowd anyway. It was one of them weird nights. But a girl came up to me afterwards and she said, oh, I enjoyed that, whatever. But just the second you said the word feminism, I was gone. You lost me. And I'm going, that's kind of your problem.
Yeah, that's not absolutely your problem.
It's kind of, but as well as that, the joke was how it's tough to find things to talk about.
It's funny that, isn't it?
The point of that, you've missed the point of the joke completely. But I think at the same time, people are sick of hearing about it too. And I get that. Like, I know you chatted last week with Aoife about how you have to have experienced something to be able to talk with authority on it and stuff like that. But I've experienced feminism. Like, I feel I can talk about it.
Look, I think comedy is so open. I think it can be. I think it's very funny when somebody speaks, as you say, tongue in cheek about a fucking thing they've no notion about, and they sound like a broken version of Google. You know, like they just. And you just start dropping absolute non-facts. Yeah. And, you know, I find, but you will find, but normally it's like 80% of the room gets what you're doing because they're in a fucking comedy club, not a lecture hall. Like, yeah. And when but you know, it's like, and people will want, like, it's funny, like people will only read or hear what they, like, you think we're talking right now. I guarantee you there's somebody listening to this and they will hear a totally different thing. Yeah. Yeah, and or read it like Waterford Whispers have it down to a T.
Oh, they do. In fairness to them.
Their headlines are to provoke and they know if 100,000 people read it, there's going to be the guts of 10 different ways it's going to be read.
Oh yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like,
a mate of mine fell for a Waterford Whispers once. She was. I don't really know. She was reading it. It was during the snow, and they had their story up about how a person had been cut in half by the breeze. And because they had a picture of the, it was brilliant. They had a picture of an ambulance and stuff, like from some other scene, like by the road. Oh, and she actually sent it around to people going, this is unbelievable. She's a Polish girl.
Had she not read it?
But see, she had never heard of Waterford Whisperers, and she's Polish, but perfect English, but just in my circle of mates, we send those things around. So maybe she just wasn't familiar with what Waterford Whisperers was, and just read it just quite literally and just sent around. Maybe she read the first 2 paragraphs.
Her English was probably too good. Yeah. You know what I mean? That it was on the money. Like,
she was like, why would a website be set up to joke about someone being cut in half? Would probably be her logic, but it was so funny. We still hold it against her. You have to. Like,
of course you have
to.
That
on the tombstone.
Jesus,
like, that has to
yeah. I mean, I suppose the Iron Curtain didn't leave a lot of space for satire. Like,
exactly. Sure it didn't. No, so Waterford Whispers do tackle that very well. I like the on any subject. I like a little bit of devilment, but I like to make myself out to be a little bit ignorant. I think that's an easy way to get it out of it comedically, is to be a little bit ignorant in it. I got a heckle once on a different bit about World War II, where in the bit I'm obviously misunderstanding some of the history.
Yeah,
I've obviously
yeah.
half read some of the stuff, and I'm trying to be the smart guy. And I do a quip about helicopters being in World War II. Very, very small reference to helicopters. Right. And someone just shouts, there were no helicopters. But I didn't know what they said. So in the room we're laughing, and then no one really understood the context. They're like, why is that person saying there's no helicopters? They sounded odd. It's a brother of a comedian that did this, actually.
Oh, bless.
But the thing was, again, in my head, I'm going, you missed the point, or else I'm not selling the point. I really need to make myself out to be far more thick to make that come across. Like, I was aware there were no helicopters. Again, I half read the article I'm referencing, the point being that I'm ignorant.
But I do it all the time, and on purpose. But the amount of times I'll get people coming up politely afterwards going, do you know, actually, because I do a bit about, like, you know, that fucking, I did a bit about almond milk. Are you fucking joking me? Like, has anybody ever looked at an almond and thought, well, that's the milkiest looking thing I've ever fucking seen? And the amount of time I've gotten people coming after, actually, the process that they do there, I'm like, dude, leave it on the pitch.
Yeah, exactly.
Leave it there.
Don't fact check now.
No.
Yeah,
Let's not. No.
If you start going into fact checking, any gig will be absolutely.
Well, this podcast would be buried a long time ago.
Because I've already lied like 15 times.
I'm making a point.
My name's not Keith at all.
But I make it a point, and I think people actually on podcast land, they actually enjoy the fact that I'm not fucking talking any sense at all. And I refuse to Google anything. Like, I refuse, like, during the podcast, I'll just go, is that a thing? Maybe it's not. Maybe it's to do with cats.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's just so much easier. It's like, I think I'd say I talked about this before, but it's the weirdest one I got afterwards was a couple of months ago now at this stage in the Laughter Lounge. I went up on stage, and this is kind of, I suppose it's a bit of a callback to what we were talking about 2 seconds ago, and that people hear what they want to fucking hear. Even if it's put the other way to them, they're like, their own self-righteousness just won't let them back down.
Yeah.
And it happened at the lounge. A chap came up to me, and people have been, you know, you have a good gig in the lounge, typically they come over, because it's a space to do it, they'll come over and they'll shake your hand or whatever and go, great gig, enjoy that, you know. And a chap comes over to me, he's an American chap, he's big, good-looking fucker. He's an African-American lad. And he says to me, can I talk to you real quick? And I went, right, because this spells like trouble. And I just, and it was the way he did it, kind of gave the nose a bit of a rub and everything. Can I talk to you real quick? I went, lad, if you have an issue with any of that, I just take it up with management. I'm going to cut you off right there now.
Yeah.
Because I got paid for that 20 minutes.
Yeah, I'm done now.
And now I'm done.
Yeah.
But he went, no, it's just, I don't think you said it, and I thought you were really good, but my girlfriend, when you went right up on stage first and you addressed the audience, did you use the N-word? I'm like, and Johnny Candon was standing behind me, he started roaring laughing. He goes, Tom doesn't even know what the fucking N-word is. What are you fucking talking about, you fool? And I started laughing. I says, who the fuck? Nobody in Ireland, that's your word. That's an American word. Yeah. That's nothing to do with us.
Yeah.
It doesn't...
Who opens, even in any scenario, who opens with that?
Any scenario. I can't think of any, unless it's a black chap talking to a room of black people. Yeah. There is no way this is, and even still, they kind of go, odd, you know?
Yeah.
I went, where the fuck? I'm pretty sure I went up and said, how are you lads? Or something. Along those lines.
There's not even a word.
It was so off the Richter, like, you know, it was so, but it was funny. He goes, that's what I says, if anything, I'd say, I says, how we fuckers.
Yeah.
That'd be the most extreme, I would say. But I don't think I would have started with that. I don't remember.
But I can't picture that.
Yeah, I says, look, go back and tell her to retrospectively, and now she can enjoy the rest of the...
exactly. Yeah, fill her in on the other stuff she was...
19 minutes and 50 seconds that I did.
On while she was scratching her head.
And he went, yeah, that's what I thought. He says, I'll go back and say it. I said, come on, thanks.
Yeah.
And as I was walking past, the two of them were sitting right by the edge, and I walked into the green room, and I was leaving. They were sitting in the same spot, and she just started throwing me like the filthiest look you've ever seen, like. And I mean, I don't know what. Like, I tried to break down situations, but she was a large girl, and she's white, and I think she was just ready to be offended on his behalf, regardless, and she wasn't taking a backward step.
Okay.
And I came over. I says, "Did he explain all that to you?" She goes, I heard what I heard. I went, you heard what you heard, but that still doesn't make it true.
Yeah, I said what I said.
There's 350 other people in here, and they heard it correctly. And even your boyfriend heard it correctly.
Yeah.
You just...
Yeah.
As I don't really care whether you believe me or not,
exactly.
but I'm just telling you for his
enjoy
sake.
your night a lot better if you
because he's just staring at the floor. He's just the poor bastard was just staring at. I said, "You should really grow a set, lad. Just fucking tell her straight."
And they probably recorded it too. You probably could have just
yeah. But
that's pure annoying.
Yeah,
but you can't. I'd almost prefer that to having like when you actually say something and like that feminism. Just saying the word just turns someone off. It's like I'm literally now not laughing, no matter what you. About to say, I'm done. Again, I do agree that it's now watered down. This maybe that gig was that heck of 2 years ago, maybe. But it's all over the place now. It's like someone was saying Edinburgh shows 2 years ago was the trend. People to talk about feminism. And the next year there was a lot of mental health team shows, and that it's just the place becomes awash with a certain trend over a certain year. So maybe people are sick of hearing it, especially from a little lad going up in his little t-shirt and jeans going up talking about feminism. I get it.
But I think that's even funnier because you're so away from the situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think we're there's something in that. I think like there's I think the fact that you play it so ignorantly too, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The Galway Comedy Fest, that was a good one.
That was good.
You got a feed of ribs, did you?
I did get. It's actually the second last. I haven't eaten meat in a month, but that was good because I came in for some reason. I had it in my head I'm going to get falafel or something. I just had it in my head that morning, and I was finding it. Right, finding it. So then I got it like whatever. Your barbecue was like 2. I had them at like 1, so I arrived in absolutely stuffed, and then full of falafels, and I was like, this was a terrible decision. This was a terrible decision. There was ribs on the walls. It was everywhere.
Yeah,
it was like
it was
an abattoir.
wall to wall fucking ribs.
So I just had to sit there until I was hungry again. I was just doing laps, just pacing. Just Phil Jupiter's beans and your ribs. They were class. That was lovely. That set me up nicely because I had to rush off to a gig then again at 3 or something. Yeah,
she did the right thing. Kevin's wife, she brought in takeaway boxes for lads. Yeah, so lads started coming in. And then a couple of Q-tours, I see them come back in with... They go out to the fucking bar and eat them. But then they were coming back in with them and topping back up again. I mean, there was... We bought...
you had plenty there.
Oh, Christ, there were shit tons.
They were so good now, in fairness, fair play to you.
Are you off to meet?
Off to meet for November. Like I did in Edinburgh, I went as little meat as I could.
Well, what's the thinking behind that?
There isn't really.
Because you're not a vegetarian.
No,
so
not at all.
Is it just to make it handier on the old diet? Like, because I do go maybe 2 or 3 days of the week vegetarian. Like, because you can't be fucking eating.
No, you can't. But I, to be honest with you, I think it's just more. So I enjoy me cooking. I love cooking. I'm not great at it, but I love trying it anyway. And for some reason, the Happy Pair lads, I love them. I love them lads. Fair play.
Why do you love them? Because I was in there the other day and. I'm such a cynical old cunt, and there's just no 2 ways to go about it. And I'm going, look at these 2 fuckers making a fortune peddling old. And next thing, because we only live 5 minutes away from Greystones, we popped over, and herself was dying to go over. She says, "Come on," because she loves the old bit of vegan stuff every so often. Hence why we're drinking coconut milk in our coffees. What a couple of fucking flounces!
Pure notions.
What a couple of fucking blouses. The 2 of us sitting down here, and this fucking jammed out the door this place was on like a Tuesday or something. But I went in and she says, "Come on, we'll get this and this." So it's kind of a combo plate that you get put together. Oh, yeah. Fuck, it was unreal. It's great. It was unreal.
That's what converted me. That's exactly it. I would have been, even in my set, I do give out a little bit about the energy vegans have and juicers.
Yeah.
It's an untrustworthy amount of energy for a Wednesday. But I think my good lady went there and got like their lasagna or something and brought some leftovers home, and I ate. I microwaved it and ate it, and I was like, that was. Now I don't like that they call it lasagna. It's not lasagna, but I get why they do.
Yeah.
But it was just delicious. And then I just went, right, hold on here now. I've misjudged this situation. These lads know what they're at. And then I just started watching their videos and cooking a few recipes. I'm like, yeah, fair play to them. They're fair play. They're doing well. I like it. And then I went into the restaurant, and it's just real good atmosphere. There's an awful lot, especially gigging. You go into a dark room with people who are generally drunk. Yeah. It's kind of the same thing. And you go into that place and it's shocking bright.
Yeah, everybody has unbelievable skin.
Everyone, unreal skin. I'm translucent. Like, you can see my heart through my... If I took my shirt off, it'd be weird, but if I took my shirt off,
I thought that was a superhero thing you had going on there.
Yeah. But it's... But then you go in there and it's just all kind of happy. It's good. It's nice. And
they're they're cornered every bit of the fucking market.
Yeah.
They're selling in fucking super value now as well, and apparently they're selling in Waitrose in the UK.
In the UK, and they're over there. According to their Instagram feed, is actually very good. But it's funny. I went to one of their talks, and it's just mad. It's just kind of like they were warming up to do the talk, and you're just looking at your man there getting the food ready, and then the other brothers over in the corner doing a handstand, and you're just like, I kind of like that bit of randomness. I mean, if you did it at a gig or something, I'd kick you out.
And if you did that in school, you get kicked out of you. Like,
but here it's totally fine. Yeah,
it's funny because we were talking about it. I opened for Colin Geddes the other night, Whelan's, and his wife loves. They're living in Dungannon, like, you know, but they love coming down, and they will make it a point if they're heading south any bit at all. They will make a point to go into Greystone. I fucking love the place.
Yeah.
And even Geddes was going, how do you fare with it? Because they know you're a sour bastard at the best of times. I said, I fucking hate that I like him.
Yeah, that's it.
He says, I follow him on Instagram. He says, it's just annoying fuckers. Two tall, good-looking fucking bastards.
Yeah.
And he's the way they go for a swim in the sea every day. I says, yeah. And he says, I looked at one the other day. They put it up. And your man's wearing one of them's video on the other, like, and he's wearing a pair of GA shorts. And you were in the sea the other day, and I was just thinking, like, the question for this is, you can verify, but he walks like as if he's just come out of the sea. Now, there was no visual of him actually physically coming out of the sea,
just wetting his chest.
Because physically, what you could see, according to Geddes, was a major fucking piece through the shorts.
Okay,
and he was just going, bit of a cold one today, and it's like clearly, unless. If that's what it is reverted to, then, lad, you were walking around.
Fairness,
you were one of the most hated fuckers on the planet now.
Exactly.
Because you're healthy, rich, and you've got a massive flute. So, like, you were in the sea.
I did. Yeah, I hopped in. Well, I thought I was going to be jumping in Westport after a gig. The next day after a gig,
the Atlantic, essentially.
But I thought I'd be jumping in because I'd rather do that than walk in. I'd rather just quick submerge.
It's death by 1,000 fucking stabs.
Yeah, I'd rather that. Yeah. I had an innie when I came out.
I believe it.
It was touching me belly button. It was, so I can vouch for that fact.
There was a phrase an outlet I used to work with. He used to just smoke. I never saw him smoking a full rollie. He'd always have it down to a little butt, and his beard. And I says, "How you getting on today, Patsy?" And he used to have these just amazing phrases. And I remember this one particular day. It was fucking freezing, and his job he was a groundsman. Like, he'd work with the digger. You know, have a shovel, and he'd spot when the pipe is there or whatever, and they're digging. But I says, how are you today, Patsy? Bit of a cold one. Tis cold, all right. I tell you, Tommy, she's gone back into the hair like a fucking terrier's eye. I'm getting that on a t-shirt.
That's lovely.
Come back into the hair like a terrier's eye.
That's very good. Jesus, yeah. I don't know how they do. Fair play to the lads on getting in the water every day. Like, I've done the 40-foot, the hop in there.
Yeah.
It does kind of freak me because there's be seals and all that jazz going on. The time I jumped in the 40-foot a couple of years ago, the seals it was kind of like a warning, like, seals are out now, it's mating season. So the people were like, seals are attacking, lads. They're not. They're trying to
ride you.
Yeah. And it freaked me out.
Because there's a fact. No, I don't know which seals it is. It's probably some bad motherfuckers like leopard seals or something, one of them lads. But there are seals that, like, will pin down a penguin and fuck it to death.
Jesus.
Rape it to death. Yeah. That's an actual fact for anybody freaking out right now with this in their headphones.
Is this an actual one?
This is an actual fact. It was said to me. I think it was said to me by herself. She was horrified because she loves animals, thinks they're all lovely. And I have this bit that I'm still kind of working on because it kind of hurts people a small bit as I talk about it, about animals being assholes, and that I'm trying to relate that they are closer to us than you think, because there are ones with personalities and most of them are lovely, but there are ones who are just complete bollockses.
Yeah.
And here are the examples of ones that are complete bollockses. And one of them was this bit about, and I had to verify it because people were getting animals. People, you could talk about fucking anything, but as soon as you're wrong about animals, people go, you lost me there, and you won't just lose some of the room, you'll lose a fucking lot of the room.
Yeah,
but I had to verify the one on. I might actually get a slide. Do you know a thing going like with a fucking slide and go? And here's the actual fact from Wikipedia. That'd
be a good Bright Club talk,
wouldn't it?
That kind of thing. Yeah, asshole animals. Yeah, do it. Have a good show. Yeah,
but is that a challenge you've been setting yourself? You were telling me you were going doing a challenge kind of. Was it every week or every day?
It's a mental thing. It's a small thing in my own head. I'm calling it Grovember because you have to have some kind of hashtag. But it's
it's hashtag bollocks.
Exactly.
I'm just a bollocks.
That's it. Yeah, but I'm a bollocks for 11 months of the year. So this year, just I started trying to do something every day, just something small. It's not content, that's the one thing. Some days have been good online Instagram videos and stories.
Yeah.
Some days have just been a picture of a book that I try to read. Do you know, like, it's just So it's a way for me to kind of maybe it's like
I love the notion that you tried to read, like you couldn't actually physically work out how to get it open or something.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, you're just banging it off the desk, trying to fit a plug into it somewhere. Going, how does this work? No, yeah, but the worst thing, the book that I was trying to read, so is Grovember. So it's basically. It's a way I kind of aligned in my own head with Movember and the Movember crew, but because I wanted to just do something every day that maybe I had zoned out from before. You know the way you find your phone and stuff in a bit, like your day becomes this just a run of the same thing every day. So I said, just take even a half an hour every day and just do something. And one of the things I just thought would be good to do is I never read my Leaving Cert English book. I never read it. So, you have to answer, you have a set text and you have to answer a certain question on the text.
Did you bluff through English?
I bluffed through English. And I remember...
Off the basis of what? How?
Because you know the way in English, the question's always like, what was the tone of this book and this thing? And when Mary said this to Timmy or whatever, because it's set texts.
Yeah.
And I just learned off like a few of the answers. Like they read it in class and they were kind of going through it. And so I listened.
Right.
I
Yeah.
Like I just listened to the answers. I was like,
you got the trailer.
Yeah, exactly. My English, but the worst thing was I should be good at English. Like I enjoy English, but the idea is sitting there learning off a book to answer a prescribed thing. I had no notion of doing that.
Yeah.
And then I did all right in the mock, and then I went, I don't need to read it now. And then I screwed up the real exam. I don't know what I got. I got like a C or something, but I don't know what. Yeah. So I bought that on the first day of November. Death and Nightingales. And I read the first page. I was like, pure miserable. I know I didn't read this again. I should have read the first page in the shop.
Pure misery.
Now, I don't even know what it's about. I think
it sounds horrific, like.
Yeah, it is. But the first word of the title is death. It's not going to, like, you're starting.
There's going to be very little crack in that.
There's
going to be very little crack in that.
There's no development.
I couldn't honestly. I don't know what's happened in my head. There's maybe too many blows to my fucking head or something. But I couldn't tell you what book, what plays, and I did honours English. Like, couldn't tell you. No idea. Like, you could have told me that I did that book. Yeah. I'd have to take your word at it because I cannot.
Well, I had to Google it now. I had to go down through. Because you can get all your exam text online. I think it's examinations.ie. You can read your exam paper from whatever year you did the Leaving Cert or something.
Right, that's a challenge for the listeners. Yeah,
there you go. So I did that, and then but then it didn't actually list the. It didn't list the book, but then I was able to Google the prescribed text for that year, and I got that. So yeah, I went. I think I got 4 pages in, and I went, not at all. That's sitting there now.
Go away.
But at least now I know that I've grown. Like I was right the first time, and that is a growth in that self-reassurance. So that was one of the things. Then what was the other one?
That's an amazingly profound thing to say. That you basically you're patting yourself on the back for at 18.
Yeah, for being lazy, a lazy shit when I'm 18. I'm like, well done you. You have good
mark. But I bet you did stuff you enjoyed while you weren't reading that book back when you were 18.
Well, that's it. Absolutely, just fucking around, just leaping about the place. Yeah, loving it. Yeah. So, but the thing was, again, I don't like that way of learning. Same in college, like doing like sociology or something like that. Read everyone else's opinion on something and then go into an exam hall and write about their opinion. There was one course I did it in college. It was like, what was it, sociology and networking or something like that. And again, I just didn't do anything. I'm not saying don't do that. Don't waste an opportunity like that. But I'm just for that one module, I did nothing. I went into the exam and they gave us some question and it was specifically related to a text. All of them were specifically related to something that they'd read in the class. I made it up. I just made up my own theory and I failed. Like I don't know anyone else. I got like 39. So I met her and she was like, I only gave you 30. Like it's well written, but I can't. You didn't reference the text. I deliberately marked you so that you knew you failed because you didn't read the book. And I was like, okay, I didn't need the marks.
But wouldn't something like sociology shouldn't it be based off your opinion? Like, I think,
I think
rather than fucking regurgitating what some fucker thought of it himself. Like, what made him special?
They probably wanted you to reference their theory and then maybe put your own spin on their theory. There was probably room for that.
Right.
But I just went for the spin.
Right.
I basically read their question and from that just said, here's a thing. Here's an opinion of that thing. It's not the best way, is it? So now you can see why at the age of 33 I'm starting to develop myself in November for a month. I think that'll make up for all these mistakes.
You know what? You already seem like you're glowing. You're translucent skin. You're glowing walking around the street.
I really am. Yeah, I've done some good ones. I did an hour the other day. I went on TripAdvisor because I realised I use it all the time and I've never contributed a review. I think I've done one. Okay. I just did like an hour where I just get a place I liked. I didn't go on to do negative stuff. I just all the places that I liked that I could think of.
That's a good lesson for life, Keith. I think anybody, if you're reviewing it and you've got a bad review, don't bother.
Or do it privately.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, exactly. If you have a grievance with, say, something, I will handle it in the fucking moment anyway and actually have a word with the manager. But don't be going away, going, thanks very much. And then go home and then go, It was and do you know what? Spelling too is a major thing. Like,
yeah. You have it right. Like and a bit of punctuation doesn't go straight. Because I'll review your review. There should be a site up for that.
That's a really good idea.
Review advisor.
There
we go. Let's do that. That's our next business thing. That can be for Grow December.
Yeah. And what else? What did you review throughout your
a few hotels, a few restaurants, a few cafes. I actually, oddly enough, I reviewed like the Happy Pear lads, and then I reviewed there's Happy Food, a few little vegetarian places and vegan places because I'm not a vegetarian.
Yeah.
So I was seeking good food. I wasn't seeking a spot that I can eat because I have limited things. So I was like, I found it very good as a non-vegetarian to eat there. That kind of stuff. Do you know what the one part about it is? It's tough doing because you run out of adjectives and superlatives after three.
Did you copy and paste a few times? Yeah, you did.
Kind of for a few of them.
But you know what? Look, they were happy enough to get it too, Keith. You know what I mean?
Like after, it's adding to their stars average is what it's doing.
After,
my reviews are already, but thousands. TripAdvisor sends you stats on your reviews. Like, 7,000 people have read my reviews.
There's no way of putting a fucking a link to a podcast by any chance.
I don't know. Can you? I don't know. I have no idea. You know what? I'll have to go on a review podcast because I'm starting to listen to a good few podcasts. I'll have to go on and do that on one of the days. But I found that was good for me because I was like, you appreciate so much stuff and you never give good feedback. People really. You won't complain, but you'll bitch.
Yeah.
But you'll rarely be really positive about something. So I just said, right, sit down, 1 hour, put on an album in the back, and just go at it. And just give some positive feedback and contribute. And I tried to find places that didn't have many reviews because it might mean more. But it was actually tough. People aren't as selfish as I am.
I probably would have never done any sort of reviewing at all until I started a podcast. And now every time because your phone knows everywhere you've fucking been, like, they will ask you to review, would you recommend and all that. And I make it a point to. So for the last year and a half, 2 years, I've been reviewing shit. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To no end. Nobody has ever said thanks. But
but still it goes out there.
Yeah.
You know, it goes
and
out
you'd like to give it to people too who are, sole traders kind of a thing. You know what I mean? Who are doing their own thing. Like,
don't go reviewing McDonald's. Like, it's got enough reviews at this stage. Yeah,
it's grand.
It's grand.
To be fair, it could review with minus stars, and people would still go into McDonald's. It is still do fun.
I went into Burger King the other day, and I'm not eating meat. Like, that's how, it's ingrained in us. I ended up leaving. I went, no, hold on here, wait now, and I went and got myself an owl crepe.
So you autopiloted in the fucking door.
I was starving, and I autopiloted in, and then I went, get out of here. What are you doing? And
Jesus Christ!
Down the corner, had a beautiful crepe, and I reviewed it online that evening.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, some of the habits I'm keeping. I'm all delighted with myself now. Yeah.
Crepes and fucking coconut coffees today.
It's unreal.
Jesus
the notions are pouring out of me.
It's ridiculous. You know the good times are back, don't you?
They really are.
We should have 2 Maxwell fucking houses here at base.
One between us.
One between us. What else have you done?
What else have I done? What did I do? Oh, well, yesterday was really boring. Yesterday was just like self-help stuff. The other day, I just I went through all my stuff and I gave stuff to charity. I just spent a half an hour going through my t-shirts and my clothes, just find stuff good enough, and I walked down. Today I walked by the charity shop and they have a Black Friday sale, everything's half price. I'm like, well, I wish I went in later now. I don't want my stuff going out on the cheap. I was trying to make more money for them. And they're just handing them out. I'm going to go in and buy my own stuff back. They're bargains. Yes, that was another one of them. What else have I done? I've done loads. So yeah, the no meat thing. So I've set myself some rules about the no meat stuff. There's a week there where I get up between 6 and 8 every day, or really, really early to try and get a workout in the morning. Through Movember, I'm doing Govember, a site thing. They do a thing now. It's not just growing a mustache. They do a thing where you set yourself a target distance to cover. So I just set 100k. You just have to cover it in health. I'm not counting when I walk to the shop. So I just I'm just doing 100k. I think I'm at 70k covered now through the gym and running and stuff like that.
To be fair, you'd grow a decent moustache, you know what I mean?
I have awful fluffy facial hair.
Is it though?
Very patchy. This is
your
about
moustache
9 months.
seems full enough to me, stubble wise. I'd say you'd grow
a horrible one.
You'd grow the one of an SS officer, I would think.
Really? That's probably not the market they're aiming for.
No, because I don't know what that section is called up there, between your top lip and your nose. What's that called? Do you know?
Not.
Because is it all lip? Is that lip? Because it's quite thin, but it's full of stubble. I reckon you'd get a good muzzy going up there, I reckon.
I could see now this is the thing that doesn't connect to the rest of the...
That's why I think the moustache is for you, Keith.
Okay. I might... Well, maybe next year.
I think it'd be interesting. Cause
I think I'd spend the entire time looking like a 14-year-old. I think that's the problem. I'd be going in to do gigs and be like, not tonight. I'm like, no, honestly, I need to be over there really soon. that's my name. They're saying Ketchuk Mackinchunnock over there. I have to run. I have to get over there. I've got feminism to tackle. I don't know what I do that, but I like them. I like the Movember thing. It gets a little bit of grief, Movember, with the moustaches and that. Some people are a bit snide about it, but I think it's great. I think
is that because it's a fella issue? Because fella issues are easier to have a clip at, like, you know what I mean?
I think it's because it's a little bit seen as attention seeking to grow a mustache for charity.
Right.
I think, I think at the start some people just wanted to see what they look like with a mustache. Said, I'll do this now. This is for charity. But to be fair, I think it's quite good. It's quite supportive. I think it genuinely is a very supportive charity. I do like it.
And as a fucking unbelievable podcast host, check out this for a segue. Keith, you're intrinsically tied into Movember, aren't you?
I am. I'm a uni baller. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have to. I'm linked in with Movember, yeah, intrinsically, but I've not got involved in any year. That was 10 years ago. I had testicular cancer.
Because I only found out again. Like, who the fuck wears a t-shirt to these things? But then some people do. They bang the drum for a long time, like, and it never came out in your comedy or anything that you had testicular cancer, and you quite literally, what was it, about 3 or 4 weeks ago? You put up a fucking post. And I'd be honest with you, Keith. Because you're alive and walking around and healthy and everything, and I've known you for a couple of years, so I was that verified in my head that you're still going grand and you're not at death's door. It was your haircut in that picture. Yeah, that really bothered me majorly. Yeah.
It's not great. I took the approach of I'm going to grow this hair now, and I'm not going to look after it. Like, it wasn't like I wanted long hair and I was styling it and stuff. I was a pig ignorant approach to having long hair.
But then I would have been more upset if you were using a GHD on it too. Like, you know what I mean? You look like the man from the Black Eyed Peas.
I think I tried that once. It looked horrible. It really did. It looked bad enough as it was, but it was horrible. Yeah.
You would confuse me too much, like, because I like your personality and I like you as a friend. And then if you had great hair, I'd have too many fucking.
Yeah, it's a bit of a dig on my current hair.
I
used conditioner this morning.
Yeah, no doubt. What you have right now is great, but I'm saying if you
had flowing mane,
you're going feminine. It's like, oh man, I could have attracted to him.
Yeah.
Fuck.
That would have been odd. That wasn't a problem I had at the time. To be honest with you, there was no cues. Like, but So I had put up the long hair. I've a few pictures. I need to find them of my bald head, which I have to put up at some point through November. That can be a growth exercise. I always have to shave the head. Well, I didn't have to. It was going to come out either way, but it felt like a more.
Was it definitely going to come out?
It started coming out because I had the chemo. Well, it was about 9 months after I had a surgery for the old testicle, and about 9 months later I had to have chemo. 8 months later I had to have chemo. So about a month into that, you can feel it comes out in your hands and stuff like that.
And just wind it back a small bit, because there'll be lads listening to this going, fuck.
Yeah, they've skipped forward through
yeah, no, because I think it softens the fucking blow of such a thing, because it's something like lads are fucking the worst ever for looking after themselves.
We're Egypts. We're pure Egypts with some of our health. Yeah,
it's like, sure, quite literally, like, I walked around with a broken fucking leg, like. And I've walked around with a broken neck. Jeez. Going, sure, that's just an old neck pain. I must get a new pillow. I swear to God, I went out and bought a new fucking pillow. Turns out I had a crack in a vertebrae in my fucking neck, like, after a car accident. That's a spa of the highest order. Like.
After a car accident, too, like, it wasn't like you might have knocked it drunk or something.
Definitely. Yeah,
that's...
but I had something else. Like, I went for treatment about my shoulder and mentioned nothing about my fucking back, like, or my neck, you know. That's but so you were backpacking. Was this after college?
Yeah. You know that whole privileged existence where you get free education and you go, I need a break. So
stressful times for you, Keith. You were having to get all that non-reading of books out of your fucking head.
Yeah. So after taking a break during college, I said I need to take a break from the real world. I went backpacking, and then I had a little pain in my old stomach or my abdomen or whatever.
Where had you backpacked through? Like,
I did the South American thing. It's like about 5 or 6 countries there, and then I went to New Zealand and was in Melbourne at this stage.
And what did it? Do you wake up one morning and it's like, whoa, what's that fucking? Was there a pain in your?
There's nothing sharp. Like there was no.
One of those dull pains, was it?
There's just a little dull pain, but do you know one of those ones where you have it and you realise you have it, and then you go, oh, that's been there a few days. Like there's no.
I know what you're saying. Yeah,
just one of them odd ones. I had that, and then I just made a deal with myself. I said, if that's still there now on Friday, I'll go to a doctor. I don't know what day this was. This was Wednesday. The one memory of it, I was sitting at the Australian Open, one of the earlier rounds. Sitting back, chilling out, and I was like, that pain's niggling away at me. That's very odd. And I just
watching the tennis,
watching tennis, and I just remember feeling it then, and that's when I made a deal. So, because I think I had a few days to go to the tennis, and then I said after that it was Friday, and I'll go to the doctor then.
And did you make any checks on yourself before then, or did you even guess that it was that, or was it going, that could be my appendix?
Well, so at first I googled
or a hernia or something.
But because you don't know the terminology to put in, because you're completely out of the circle. Like,
and it's 10 years ago too. The internet was a bit backwards.
it was shouting in a cave. Like
Yeah,
there was very, very little stuff, and you wouldn't trust. Like I look back now at some of the stuff that was up there, and it was horrible. Like there was
what was up there?
Well, a lot of what really put me off is that there was a lot of people asking questions on forums and stuff like that.
Nobody answering them.
Well, then they get an answer. They say go to the doctor, and then the person never went back to update you on their story. So they're like, "Yeah, cool, I'm going to go to my doctor," and you're going, "Did they die? Like what happened?" But what the people, it's just because nowadays people are actively on forums, like they're contributing and they go back with their story. There's blogs, and again, like Movember and Marie Keating and all these and Irish Cancer, they've loads of information online, like an abundance of it. And there was just nothing. There was bits. I shouldn't say there was nothing. There was stuff, but there was just nothing. But even at first, I wasn't looking up cancer. I was looking up pain in my stomach, pain in my side, pain in my. And then once I hit upon lower abdomen, I think that triggered a few things to say to check your bollocks. So I did that. I checked the old testicles in the shower, and I was like, there's a bit of a shell. There's no lump. Do you know that people said it was a lump? There was no lump.
So it was just like the same shape, but on
tougher.
Right,
like
right,
a little bit like a texture change. Is that the word I'm probably looking for?
I get you. Yeah.
So that's why in the checks they say like look for lumps, but also know how they feel. That's one of the big things on the check. Just know how they feel. Just know what a testicle's meant to feel like, and then that's how you can do it. You meant check yourself every 2 months they say or something.
Is it every 2 months?
I think so, but you're in the shower anyway. Like they're out. Your hands are probably going to be close enough to it at numerous points.
Yeah,
in the day.
Have a rub at the thing like.
And it's honestly it's a very, very simple. Like it's quite simple. And then I did that. So then it was me that was convincing the doctor that I needed a scan because
what way were the doctors in Australia? What way were the doctors in Australia?
They were grand, pure upbeat, way too optimistic. I like just the accent's
That's
too
not
nice.
Right for us. That's not right
for us.
At
all. Like
no.
I'm trying to talk him through it. I'm trying to say you need to look at this more seriously.
He's like,
he's like, it's all right, mate. You're totally fine. Let's go get a drink. He's cracking open a tinny while we're chatting. It's like, put away the bag of wine, mate. How about that? How about we take out my testicle bag instead of the bag of wine? So I had to convince him to get me a scan because my fear was I was going to be in the backpacking in a forest in China in like 3 weeks' time.
Jeez,
and I'm like, no disrespect to the forests in China, but I don't believe the medical care. Like, I'd have to go to a major city. Like, so I was kind of like, I'd rather get this done this week. So he thought it might be an infection of some kind because you can get them, and that's the other thing as well.
You were what, 22?
23, I think. Yeah.
To be fair, like you'd go hardly.
Oh,
you know, like
that's
you,
it. Yeah, that's it. Especially, I think now the age they're saying is 19 to 37 or something. I could be wrong with that, but that was the age I think I read the other day. But even at that time, he said you're extremely young for it to happen. So, but then I said, look, what he actually said to me was, I'm expecting the scan to be fine. I'll call you with the prescription on Friday when the results are back.
But all antibiotics to get the...
It's because he thought it'd just be a bit of an infection.
Right.
And then he rang and he said, can you come down? I was like, for fuck's sake. So then I knew it was a 5-minute walk away, and I knew walking then that I had to... Like, he wasn't calling me down. Like, he'd already...
Had you dealt with fucking bad news like that before? Because sometimes it toughens a person up. Because that, to me, like, I haven't dealt with fucking nothing. Like, I've had broken shit, but it's been totally down to me. Like, you know what I mean?
Like, I don't think I did.
Did you want to punch the world for a second and go, you motherfucker, who gave me this?
Oddly enough, that's the thing. And I've spoken about before where I said, once you go to a doctor, and once you do that, the relief mentally, because you worry about everything.
Worry is worse than the actual facts.
And worry is so much worse. And the thing is, when you're when you're talking to a doctor, you go and he has a game plan. Then he's saying, "This is the treatment you're going to need. This is your next thing." When you don't go, you're analysing everything else, and you're saying, "Maybe
totally
I'm too
unqualified
late."
too,
and it's so bad. Like it's. I wouldn't say I did too much of that, but it definitely flies through the head. There were a couple of moments where you're going, what the? And then you're thinking about stupid things, and you're going to forums on the internet where people with making unqualified statements, and it's helpful in one way because it brings you to go to a doctor, but in another sense, now is the time to listen to the doctors and seek alternative advice as well. If I don't mean alternative medicine, I'm not saying go
rub a dandelion on it.
Rhino horn, and that'll do it. But so I think once you're in that, it's kind of after that, you're worrying about the people around you. You're not worrying about as much about yourself anymore. You're kind of worrying.
I'll be grand. I'll be grand.
You know, like I was backpacking. I had to. My missus at the time. We got to end this trip. I have to tell my parents that I'm coming home early, and it's not good reasons. But you're worrying more about that. You're not worrying about
because even talking down the excitement. Oh, Keith's on the phone. Come in.
Exactly.
Lads, take it down a notch. I have.
Yeah, Like,
Yeah.
I'm coming home, and it's the dreaded C word. But I don't even say that's the thing. I've actually had to stop people saying it around the C word. I'm saying say cancer because we put this thing in our head where we don't even say the word.
The bastard. Yeah.
So I came home, and then. And then, speaking of retracted penises, my God, I was in 40-degree heat in Melbourne. I came back to snow in Dublin. I was getting an exam. I was like, "There's a penis in there somewhere." Okay, just
I swear to God,
put the heaters on in here. There'll be something. Trust me. But I left. I had my scans, my first scans. I had them. I had to bring them to
the physical scans.
The physical scan. Like, why not give me a disc? Anyway, so they wouldn't even fit in my bag. Like big, stupid size scans.
A3 shit and things,
crazy things. Yeah. And I left them on the airplane. And I had to run back in through security going, I left my testicles on the plane. And I kept trying to run back in. And I never got them. But I do like the idea that someone has them. They're not still on the plane. So somewhere I like to think
Wait,
they're
what? You went back to the plane? They'd already cleaned it out?
I couldn't get back to the plane. I could get back, so for security reasons, they were like, we can send someone on. But I had 2 flights, so it could have been on the previous flight. I only realised that it's 30 hours of travel.
Yeah.
So I like the idea that like my testicle is an album cover somewhere, or someone's found it and it's like, this is the weird, what is this? It could be anything. Like, if I found that, I'd be delighted to.
Some new Detroit band are going to put out an amazing album with just a pair of balls on it. Like.
Exactly, and not a clue what it is.
So did your man in Australia say, do you want to get the job done here? Or because he did the scan, confirmed it, then he talked you through, what's the steps that he talked you through?
Well, they can't confirm cancer. They
100%.
can confirm a growth. I've tried to be responsible with my information, but I could be wrong with some of the medical stuff. But to my understanding, they can't completely confirm that it's cancer, and they definitely can't confirm the strain. They need to do a biopsy.
So by that, they got to split the bag, have a
they don't go through the bag; they go through your abdomen.
Oh yeah, down the
they go down that. So that's where your nerve endings are. That's why I had the pain there, and then they I assume they just pull it up by the cables. But they have to take it off. To my understanding, they don't do a biopsy now. They have to take it out. They have to disconnect it. Get rid of, unplug the testicle and take it out fully, and you don't get it back.
Turn it off, turn it back on again.
Turn it off, exactly. Reboot the testicle. But they have to. They don't, because it can. I believe it can lead to spreading if you open it. It is.
Right.
So they have to take it out to diagnose that. At least with the type of growth I had, that they'd seen, that's what they had to do.
And this was all done but your man, when he said this to you in Australia, went, "Grand, I'm going to go home and get that done. Thank you very much."
Yeah, well, he said, "Look, if it was me now, if you were to stay here, I'd be looking for you to get surgery Monday or Tuesday." Like, this was the Friday, I was the Monday or the Tuesday, but I was like, well, and then I recover here for 6 weeks and then take a 30-hour flight. Like, how is that going to work?
Yeah.
And then my folks would be worried, like they'd be sitting at home, and my family, like that. It's just, why do that? And I had to move. I had an apartment, short-term rental and stuff like that. I was like, it wasn't the situation to be doing it. So I had tickets to Ryan Adams, which I'd bought months ahead of time.
What, for Saturday night?
For the Saturday, and then I had tickets to the Aussie Open men's final on the.
Did you go get flaming drunk?
I probably did at Ryan Adams, but not at the men's. To be honest with you, what's
the protocol there? Like, you know what I mean?
I felt, when you know that situation, and when he's saying, look, you need to get it done, and then you've been in touch with doctors at home, and you've got stuff lined up, you kind of just have to you feels a bit better. You've told everyone, and you're going, I'm going to be on my arse now for a couple of weeks. I might as well just enjoy what I can.
Absolutely.
And as well, like, with that type, testicular cancer is so curable. And that's the other benefit of talking to a doctor, because they talk you through everything, and you're kind of going, oh, okay. You know, all the stuff I read online back then, it should be grand. It should be okay.
And how do you feel about having one whipped out? I mean, what's the story they tell you too? Like, you know what I mean? Listen, it's grand. You can run on one wheel, like, you know.
That's it, and that's where it's so funny, because that's where my head was going. I was like, does it all work? Like, when you take one out, does everything? Am I all right? What's happening? And they're the worries.
Yeah,
you're not
of course.
Thinking, will I die? Like, that's not a question that you're asking. It's these.
That was
small
kind of
things.
bursting into my head, like, actually, about dying.
Was that the first one for you?
The first thought for me was dying. I faced death a few fucking times stupidly. Like, so I was going, this one I can't sidestep. This one, like.
But see, it didn't. I think because at least then I probably knew testicular cancer was very treatable. So maybe that's probably pushed it back.
Okay,
but it was the first few questions that were not. They were all aesthetic questions. They were all, will I lose my hair? Will I have to have chemo? And if I do, will I lose my hair? And then can everything else operate on the one testicle? Yeah.
So do you get you home to Dublin? Obviously, you got to book in there, get that job, and they get the job, they get it out.
Yeah.
What happens then?
Then you recover from that, and then I think maybe a couple of days, or they're doing the biopsies, and a couple of days later, then they tell you the strain. I can't even remember what mine was.
Okay, right, yeah.
Seminoma, I believe, my type. And then they can gauge from that how aggressive it is, and then they do blood. They're always also doing bloods and ultrasounds on the rest of you and X-rays and stuff to see has it gone to the lungs. I believe testicular cancer spread as lymph nodes, lungs, and brain.
Right.
So they just do scans on that just to see. But if you go early enough, then typically speaking,
you'll be grand.
That's it. So yeah, with mine it was very aggressive. They'd said that the tumor was quite large. And because I had only had symptoms for a week and it had got to that size, they deduced that it had been a bit of a larger
speedy fucker.
It's a bit of a speedy one, yeah.
And so what's the process then with chemo? Then they go next week, Keith. Now that we've had it out,
so they did bloods before and after, and they went your tumor markers are the cancer count or whatever.
Yeah,
they dropped massively
when they had
taken it out, which indicated that they felt that they had got enough out, and they wanted to avoid chemo as much as they could.
Yeah.
So they said we're going to put you on monitoring or. So every month I'd have to go in and give bloods, and they just monitor if it went up or went down. And I think it was fine for about 6 or 7 months, and then I missed one. Like I realized I rang. I said, "Look, I've actually booked a trip, and I just could we reschedule that?" And they were like, "Yeah, it's fine." And then about a week later, they rang me they kind of obviously checked. Was he not in? Because the last one went up a little bit. And once it starts going up.
Isn't that ironic? The 1-1 where they cut it.
Yeah,
like,
exactly,
Jesus Christ.
And so then they called me in, but I was steamed. I don't like to brag about it, like. But
you were on the rip the night before.
I was on the rip. They rang me up when I was on the way up for a big night out with people in Dicey's. I think it was like £2 a pint or something like that.
Yeah,
and then they're like,
I think anybody would understand Dicey's, like, because it's
exactly.
£2 Tuesdays. Yeah. Like, you know
they
were
like, sorry for bothering you. we don't ruin your £2 night. But so I had to. The story goes, I had to be told twice because I went in a little bit. They were like. Yeah, we'll leave him there now for a while. We'll leave him for an hour. We might have to just make sure that he's aware of this situation. But I was. It's a sobering enough moment to be told that you have to.
And they found it in your bloods, basically.
It was the bloods and I believe then the scans showed a little bit of lymph node activity, but they didn't need to remove them out. They didn't need to remove them, I should say. So I needed chemo. And the thing with at least that strain was it's very straightforward chemo. Like it's a 3-week cycle done 3 times.
So what is it? Is they just IV?
Yeah. That's the other thing. I didn't know what chemo was.
I didn't know what it was.
I didn't know what it was
until I watched Breaking Bad.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. It's one of the most informative programs you can get. That's it. I didn't know.
So now you're making mates and you're worth a fortune. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I am the danger. I'm the one in Knox. The chemo situation was I'm very lucky that by the time I got it, they had just new medication in place for nausea, and so the nurses were telling me that there was there's a tablet I think I took every day. I think I remember them saying it was obviously free, but it was like £90 for just that one of them tablets.
Jesus!
And a bag of chemo. I remember one of them said they spilled one and they went, "That's about $3,000 there now." I was like, "What?" Oh. Again, I didn't have to. But luckily, that was not me paying that bill. But you just sit in a room. And there's other people around you, and you have an IV, and you do like a bag of saline. Because you need to make sure you're getting a lot of water in. Yeah. And then one of the days I would have had 3 bags of chemo. Some days I would have had 2. It just depended on the specific day. And you just sit down. I had the laptop on, and I'd watch TV, and like I was watching box sets at the time, back when DVDs were a thing, and. You just get a cup of tea and you might fall asleep and you'd have low energy and I go for a nap, but then I was stubborn enough. I went for walks in the evenings. I made sure I just from my own head I threw on a few albums and I just
so you're young too, you know what I mean, like so you would be probably stronger than your average. Like what was the average age around you that was sitting on them seats?
Honest, I was definitely the youngest. I was the youngest by a good bit, but at the same time you'd see lads in their 30s coming in every now and again, and you see older people. It was a bit of a mix, but I would have been young from maybe 30 up. Maybe there would have been more people, but I was quite young. And then they all heard because it was a bit more Hollywood, a bit more dramatic. Oh, he had to fly home from his backpacking trip, and I'm like, but I had a backpacking trip. Do you know what I mean? Like there's 2 ways to look at that. They're like, it's so sad you had to fly home, and I'm like, yeah, but I was in Australia. Like,
how many months did you get?
4 months. Like, I'm like, it's all right. Like, it's an okay holiday. Like,
yeah, and you just left college.
Yeah, like, exactly. I think I did. I think I worked for 2 years.
You didn't get this as a result of stress, anyway. That's
absolutely not. Absolutely not. So I found the chemo. Like, I had bad days with it. Like, I was in hospital a bit toward the end. I had to be on a heavy dose of morphine because I had joint inflammation, and it was very painful. But again, they tell you I remember at the time, if you've any pain when you're not in, you go via A&E and you just tell them, or have someone tell them you're a chemotherapy patient. They just bring you straight in because you're immune system, so you can't be hanging around in an outside A&E.
Fast pass at Disneyland.
Fast pass straight through. And but the thing about that was that I had to use that a few times, but they gave me morphine once, and I just remember I was delirious with
getting to the bar in Dicey's.
That was it. I was like, listen, this is a lot. If we just go and do a few shots, this would be grand. But yeah, so I did morphine then. That was my last week. I finished a day early actually because I was in the hospital and they said, "Sure, we'll just give you your final bag today." It worked to do it that way. So then I got home in time for Christmas. And
so from diagnosis to you were off and clear. Would say you're finished your chemo.
About a year.
About a year.
But that's because the 6 months in the middle where I was totally grand. I was just hanging out, going to
Okay,
dices.
grand. Yeah.
So again, all on paper, it all reads a bit more dramatic. But
so by 24, you'd wrapped it up basically. Like.
Yeah, I think it was 24. Yeah.
And when did you take up comedy then?
I was trying to think of this the other day because I found notes the other day in an email and I was like, I was writing comedy notes in 2011. That's odd because I didn't think I did gigs then, but I did 2011, 2012. But I did like 4 gigs. I did like 4 gigs that year. Like I meet in Newark now, and they're like, "Yeah, I just did my 58th gig this year," and I'm like, "It's February. What? Where did you get 50 gigs this year? Like I don't even know if there are 50 gigs in Ireland."
What they're calling gigs now, or what you'd call a gig.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. Like there's an element of that too. Like
I'd rather avoid that self-hurt.
But standing behind a pool table, like and
yeah,
trying to tell some jokes,
exactly.
like there's.
Yeah, exactly. But I thought when I did my first gig, I was like, okay, now here comes the money, here comes all the gig offers, waiting by the phone. Nothing happened, and then I had hip issues. Then after that, my hip collapsed, and so I was on crutches for 9 months.
What happened to your hip?
Well, I had to take steroids as part of the chemotherapy treatment.
Yeah,
and I had an extremely rare reaction to that. Steroid treatment can impact your bone strength, and it just happened that my 2 hips had. A vascular necrosis. It's called. The blood flow stopped going to the top of the bone, and I had a pain in my little back. It just that's where it manifested.
So what did the ball joint start wearing and then?
It completely. When they took it out, they said the surgeon told me that it had the consistency of a rotten apple when they took it.
Lovely.
Out. I was like, you can keep that information to yourself next time.
Thank you very much for that. Yeah.
Just put the morphine in and leave now. Thanks.
So they replace a hip.
They replaced the hip, the left hip, and I had surgery on the other one to fix that, and that's all recovered itself now. I think. That's all grand. So, but then
hats off to the surgeons, really. Like,
but Jesus. That's it. Like again, that was the thing. Once I went to a doctor, once they detected it, oddly enough, my oncologist was working in the hospital that I was in the day I went in,
class,
and
right.
They tweaked it, or they figured that, and then they got him down, and so he was like, "Yeah, you had steroid treatment. Well, I know you did because I gave it to you."
So there's no searching through the files or any of that shit.
Yeah, I was told because he was like, "You had BEP chemo." I was like, "Yeah," and he goes, "Okay." It's quite possible that's what caused it. It's possible that it didn't, but it's highly likely in this situation.
You probably became a fucking case study, like for student doctors coming through going.
I really was.
You know those, like your man Hugh Laurie, like
I
heard of this case in Ireland.
Lupus. Yeah, I was. I did do a case study at the start, but that was just a general one for people doing chemo. That wanted a young doctor came in and I took part in a bit of that. Just had to fill out a survey every week or something along those lines. But then, whenever I went in, it was always sympathy. I never really liked that. I was like, there's loads more people worse off. Like,
yeah, I could see you not being great with sympathy now, in fairness. Like,
I can't
could see,
divide it. Yeah. Because I never know where to look when people are being sympathetic.
Jesus Christ,
I was like, where do I look?
And then you joined comedy ranks where there's zero sympathy for you whatsoever.
Absolutely none. And that's why I stopped talking about it. There was a year after where my mates was a running joke, and it's Fox talking about his balls again. Like, has he stopped? Could we come out? You know, and then I just stopped because you can't have it define you. You can't literally walk around as you say with a t-shirt on, saying I had cancer. But now I figure it's about maybe a little bit of time that I put some voice to it because I suppose it's a positive-ish story. I suppose.
Well, no, it is totally like because it's such a rare thing, but at the same time, keep a fucking eye on it, like because anybody can get hit by a bullet, like you know what I mean.
That's it. Yeah. But and the other benefit of that was I had surveillance for years after. You go into the doctor. And I don't know if you're meant to do this, but if I went in and I was like, I happen to have a very bad cold for the last couple of weeks, and because they're a doctor, they'll go, here, look, I'll give you a script for this, or they'll help you out if you need a little referral. When you're in the system, it's so good. It's such a mental relief. I never had to worry. I never had to worry about anything. Do you know that kind of way? Because I always had access to the people that I needed access to. But the worst parts for me were when you're at home and you haven't done that. You haven't done that digging. There's people that were saying to me around the time, they're like, you're very positive about it. You're handling this. And I said it even in that post that maybe I was naive in my strength in some part. Maybe I shut off that fear part of my brain a little bit too much. And maybe I was a bit smart-arsey about it at the time.
Yeah, but you don't want to feel like a bitch regardless what's happened to you. You know what I mean? You go, I can fucking man up to this shit.
Yeah, like, exactly. And but that is the idea then as well. It's the man up aspect of it, that you feel how you should respond in a situation. And now I'm just kind of learning. Just not everyone handles stuff differently.
That's exactly it.
Do it your way, but do it there's a right way. Roughly, get to a doctor.
Because you'd be
yourself
one. When I read it, I was like, if there was ever a fellow who's easy going, because you're one of the most easygoing fellas I've ever like.
Yeah, I enjoy a lean.
Yeah, you know, like a good lean,
a
on
good
a gig,
lean
like,
and a
yeah.
yawn.
Oh yeah, you know what I mean. But I mean, and it probably suits you for stand-up comedy where you're not having a meltdown every fucking. But like then you meet people in stand-up comedy and you go, Jesus Christ, if that happened to you. The whole world and the mother wouldn't have to know about it. And on top of that, you'd be a fucking nightmare to be around. Because it'd be just one drama after another, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, like, you started you got serious then, because you've done Edinburgh and Everton a few times.
I've done 3 Edinburghs, yeah. Yeah, I did the split with Ger Staunton. That was good grief. That was great crack. That was our first foray into it. That was good fun. And then I did 2 solos in last year and the year before. And it's great. It's comedy boot camp. But it's great.
Where were you last year?
I was in what's the name of the venue now? It was just off Grassmarket on it. For some reason I'm blanking the name of my venue. I've said it every day 6,000 times. I think it was a cocktail bar just off Grassmarket. But it was 52 Canoes, that was it.
Oh yes,
It's a lovely it's a small little basement spot, but they had a Guinness in there. And they had that sign up going certified perfect Guinness or whatever it was, or something along those lines. And I'm a Guinness drinker. I love
you love an old pint.
And the thing is, the previous year in Edinburgh, we didn't get good Guinness, so we were just drinking not Foster's, whatever, the Tennants. And my chest was burnt off me, and it was horrible. And I was tired. By the end of that tour, but that run, I was just wrecked. I was just gone. But this time, because the thing is, I can have a couple of L Guinness, I'd be happy enough.
Yeah,
you know, I just enjoy an L drop. But I went to them. I said, "Can I have a Guinness?" And they were pouring it. They were a cocktail bar. They were pouring it all over the place. So I was like, "Listen,
giving it a shake and everything."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Listen, Cruz, fucking relax yourself.
Take the fucking ice out of that Guinness now, you. But I'll keep the umbrella. But,
and the spark.
Yeah, cheers. But yeah, and Martin and Golo was on after me, so the two of us would meet up, you know. So I'd go to Jer's venue first. It was just down the road. Yeah. And a lovely pint of Guinness. They'd go down to mine, and they actually had lovely Guinness in mine, but they made up the certified Guinness thing. I think they were just taking the piss with that. Not to report them or anything. And then we do a show in there, and it was just lovely. It's real relaxed, just a good year, a good old run of it this year. And that was fun. It's
always nice when Edinburgh can be easy on the bones, like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Jesus Christ.
It was good. There was some tough. My worst gig was my last one.
Was it?
And I like, it was fine, and I had probably the show down. I had taken out the weak stuff, and I brought in some old stuff where it needed to be in, and I was in a real good time with it. And just for some reason, some man came in, and he was just a lovely man, but he just wanted to chat, and he wanted to kind of talk a bit.
Right,
and I tried to entertain it, but I'm not the best at that. I'll admit that's a weakness for me now. Like I'm scripted enough.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't like too much to be going off it. And he just kept it up. And at one point, I remember I was like, just please. Like, if you don't want to be here, it's fine. Like, go on up. They've lovely Guinness. Go on up there and have an hour, you know, take it down. And he kind of shut up. And then at one point, I just had to have another go at him. And I think the line I said to him was, "It hurts my heart to see you breathe." I think was the line. I don't know where that came out of.
Sounds like something fucking.
For a fellow who didn't read his English book in English Leaving Cert,
I think like something therapy with a fucking a lyric from a therapy song or something.
But I was so broken by him. It's my last show. I'm trying to have a good time. Trying to have people enjoy it. A really lovely audience. I was like, I just want you to know that you're actually hurting people now. Like, you're ruining this. Got to chat to him afterwards. Lovely fella. And him and his mate that was in with them, they were musicians. They were over to do a one-day performance.
For fuck's sake. So
he knows the feeling. He was just sitting there, but he was a lovely, lovely man. We chatted for 15, 20 minutes after. I'm like, this is okay. Chat to me now. Absolutely. Don't be chatting to me in the middle of me jokes.
Because in the time he's talking, this is an education for anybody who's listening and wondering. Because especially like Edinburgh, you have to be done in that hour because there's somebody coming in after you.
Well, it was Martin, so I didn't care if I was going to be late.
But at the same time, in the time he's talking, you're dumping material. Yeah. Because you have a set hour.
Yeah.
So, and if
that show, I couldn't lose stuff from the middle of that show because the arc
segues into Yeah.
Yeah, it was tough. But otherwise, like, look, there was a couple of shows there to 6 people. Most of them were to 20 or 30 people. Some good, some bad, some brilliant. You know, I just Edinburgh is that. I love that. I like that.
Well, you certainly can't rest on your laurels in Edinburgh because it's a microcosm of what comedy is, and that you'll be rocking it. And I've had a good run the last couple of years. I've had not too many hell gigs, and last Thursday I had a hell gig. And it brought me straight back down to earth. Like, it was like, and it was teed up like it was going to be all right because the money was pretty good and stuff. But the next thing, she was a bad one. Yeah, and it was like, I drove away going, fuck, I haven't had to deal with this pain in my chest in a long time. Like,
yeah, it really hurts.
You know,
it really
but
does.
thankfully, I had a gorgeous gig lined up the following night, and it totally nullified that. And then I went and had creamy pints with yourself and Cormac on Saturday night. So I was in great form after all that. But I needed those 2 moments to fucking sort out that.
That's it. It's bad when that happens. And that's what annoyed me about the Edinburgh thing, because that happened and then it was a week. I'll generally after Edinburgh I'll be like 2 weeks. I think I had maybe 2 lined up. I said I'll do them, but other than that I'm taking a break. I take a little bit of a break after Edinburgh because I think mentally you just need it, and then you come back to the material a little bit more fresh, and But so I didn't have much lined up, so I was like my last gig in Edinburgh is just this obnoxious.
Yeah,
remember this pain, this hurt.
You're ruining it
like,
for everyone.
Yeah, well, but as well, like it was. What had I done before then? 20 of my own in whatever spots I had done. The show was good. It was there for the take, and if the room was coming with you and stuff, and it was fun. And it just, I'm like, you little shitbag. But again, look, he had his fun. Like, it's grand.
Well, it's like we said at the beginning, like people see or hear what they want to hear and see. Like he was in a situation that meant nothing to anybody else in the room bar him.
Yeah, that was it. I think I've probably been there as an audience member maybe once in my life. I think I can remember being at a music gig and just being that lad chatting just too loud in the back or something like that. But now I can't go to a show. I nearly got in a fight at U2. Bono, like this is about 2 years ago, whatever. Bono's up there talking about charity and loving the world and whatever. And then there's a lad in front. I'm nearly in a fight. Like I'm not a fighter. But I just asked the fella next to me after 6 songs I'm just talking through. Could he not do that? I paid about 150 quid. I didn't really care about his commute in. I didn't care about it.
Shut the fuck up.
And he just turned. And you know that guy, you're going, sorry, no, carry on. You chat. I'll move. I'll go. I can't go to shows now.
It's amazing what cocaine does to people.
It really is.
Let's be honest.
Really
just by the sounds of that guy you were describing.
Oh yeah, no, he was
genuinely had a lot of cocaine.
Yeah. He was on it. But I can't go to anything. I can't go to the cinema. There'd be someone eating popcorn 8 rows away.
Yeah.
Properly purchased popcorn. They're totally entitled to do it. And my head's going, who brings fucking popcorn to a cinema?
Like the fucking cheek of it.
Oh, there's ice. I can hear the ice rattling that drink. The cheek of this lad coming in here like that, and then me rustling into some.
Have some fucking respect.
Yeah. I've gone too neurotic like that. So now I think it's from being on the other side and seeing. You see someone like that at every gig. You see the possible troublemaker or the possible talker. So now when I go into a room, like any form of, even in a restaurant, my eyes will go around. Like I'm always looking around me.
What, like you're Matt Damon in fucking The Bourne Identity? Like
exactly. Yeah,
you're checking it.
Yeah, far less intellectual or with any greater mission. It's just, will he annoy me later on? He's going to annoy me. He's got a sneezer's head in him. He's going to be sneezing.
The Bourne whinge.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Do you know what? I think we'll wrap it up there. That was. Jeez, we've done the guts of an hour, Keith.
That's lovely.
Tell me this and tell me no more. And where can people find you? Because you've some fun things possibly coming down the line and all the rest of it. We might do stuff together and stuff.
Exactly. But Instagram's probably the best one.
Yeah.
I mean, the website's been redone. That's Keith Fox Comedy. That's been rebuilt. But Instagram, it's at one Keith Fox, or Facebook and all that jazz. But Instagram's the one I probably.
It's the one we're all reusing really, because it's the one where you can be lazy and just put up actually a funny video or a funny picture and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Keith Fox.
Thank you very much.
Can I say your name again in Irish?
Go for it.
No.
Heinz.
Yeah. Heinz. Keith, it's been a treasure. Thank you very much.
Man. Have a great one.
My thanks again to the very brilliant Keith Fox. You can catch him anywhere. He's always gigging around the place. So do follow him, like he told you to follow him on the old Instagram more than anything. That's where he's prevalent. Also, if it's your first time listening, go ahead, hit subscribe if you like what you listen to. There's a couple of these out every week. And have a look at the old Patreon too. If you're on Apple Podcasts, give it an owl rating, lads. Give it a high rating too. Don't be worried. We talked about it in the podcast. Just give a good high rating, or don't give it at all. It's always good to hear feedback, and it helps other people actually find the podcast. If you're not following me on any social platforms, go ahead. Tom O'Mahony Comedy will find it pretty much on the usual spots like Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. If you're on the chatty snaps and that's your bag, I don't use it so much, but I will answer to you. And I love getting the fucking all, the heads up of where you're listening to it and all the rest of it. It's Tom Bear O'Mahony on Chatty Snaps. And like that, if you want to look up gigs and stuff like that. And I will be putting a new shop page because I have a couple of days next week, lads, and we're going to get the website sorted. There's a couple more things to go up on a pages-wise. Shop and whatnot for all the rest. Bits and bobs related to the podcast. I'll be putting them up there. But for now, go to Tom O'Mahony. Actually, go to trepublic.com/user/Tom O'Mahony, or just go into my Facebook page, which is Tom O'Mahony page, and the shop will bring you straight to it. I've put it up this week. Links to the old shop. If you like what you look, You know what I mean? Some people have bought some stuff this week. A couple of phone covers went this week. Have an old gander. I want you to have a fantastic weekend, everybody. And keep on sending me the old chatty snaps and whatever else platform if you're drinking pints this weekend, if you're listening to the podcast, pulling fucking spuds. You wouldn't be pulling spuds at this time of the year, driving trucks, in the office, whatever. Give me an old fucking screen grab of what you're up to, and I'll chat to you next week. Good luck and thanks.